as a multi-use piece of property, not just racing, right? You can have all types of festivals, holiday events. It can really serve the community, and they would probably really enjoy having something like that happen here.
You said earlier this week that you were a little nervous.
Oh, yeah.
About racing.
Yeah,
here.
You don't get in a race car and not get nervous. You're never gonna climb into a car and not be nervous at some level. It's just human nature to have worry about how the car may run, how well you'll do, the decisions you'll make, whether you'll make a good decision or a bad decision on the track. So I haven't raced in a late model stock car competitively door to door with anybody in 30 years. So you don't know what to expect, but I've watched them and I've really admired what they do, and I love the Cars Tour and being a part of it. We've had cars in the Cars Tour series for a long time, so we love being a part of this series, and I'm excited to compete in a race finally.
You've been really involved in bringing this track back. You're also super outspoken about Nashville. Why is it so important to you to, I guess, preserve all this history?
I just know that there's a lot of fun to be had at places like this. I remember coming here as a kid and just loved it, and I know that could be the same for a kid today. And I know that this week, the races here are going to create memories for a lot of people that experience it. So, that's part of it. And I feel the same way about the fairgrounds. It's just been around a long time, and it deserves to be part of our industry, and it deserves to be on our schedules. And we should be really, we owe a lot to North Wilkesboro, and we owe a lot to all these little tracks that were part of the series or part of NASCAR when it was just getting going. And this place can certainly serve the motorsports industry and the NASCAR industry in many ways. So it's still got some life left in there.
Dale, you were out here like a year and a half ago with your weed whacker, and it was a cold, wet day. At that time, it was just to scan the track for iRacing. Did you have any idea that this was coming? Did you hope that would happen once you guys did that? I guess what was going on back then?
I'd always hoped that the track could open itself back up to something. I was really ambitious on what that could be. I would talk to Marcus and be like, I don't know why you can't have a truck race here. I don't know why you can't have an Xfinity race here. Well, tell me why you can't have a Cup race here. Give me the reasons, right? And so I was always pushing Marcus and with fun banter about, what he needs to do with the property. But it was that day when we came out here and weed-eated and cleaned the place up to scan it for iRacing. It was that day when it sort of the light bulb went off in Marcus's head. And then he started hearing some of the interest from not only, the community mainly, the surrounding counties, and the NASCAR industry started showing him some of their interest in it too. And he came to me and he said, man, there might be something there. And I'm like, finally you see what I see. And he would keep telling me every time I saw him over the last couple of years, I ain't forgot about North Wilkesboro. There's something there. We're going to figure out what that is, but I ain't forgot about it. It's still got a chance. And he wouldn't tell me those things unless he was dead serious. I knew he wouldn't set me up to be disappointed like that, but sure enough, I didn't even know they were going to do that press conference in Bristol. And so I got all that news the same day, the same moment you did, about the idea of running all this month and then having dirt in October. And so it was awesome. I was just as surprised and shocked as everybody else that day. But, now we're kind of at the point where we're going to have a great time this week. We're looking forward to the dirt races in October. But I think with the interest that we're going to see tomorrow night, when Marcus comes here and sees everything going on tomorrow night, that's going to get his brain and his wheels turning even more about what this place can be in 2023 and beyond.
You mentioned the Xfinity race in 2023 running at Bristol. Why Bristol? And besides the 2004 weekend when you swept, what's your favorite memories there?
Bristol? I just love the high banks of Bristol, man. When I was a little boy, I used to go there and watch Dad race. And out of all the races when I was a kid, Bristol was the one I didn't want to miss, the night race. It's just electric. And I begged Daddy to make sure, that I was at that race. And so I just always kind of love racing there. I love short tracks. I raced at Martinsville last year. Just going to keep bouncing around between Martinsville, Richmond, and Bristol until they add another short track. Then I'll go race there. But hopefully that works out. We haven't really sat down and really talked about it. It might be Bristol. It might not. We haven't even told Hellman's, so it's not really decided yet. But it'd be interesting it's on top of my list, I guess.
Dale, appealing to the historian that you are of the sport, from the minute you did the cleanup here to the scanning to seeing all this come together, Mike Joyce said on the podcast yours that you are the straw that stirs the drink in racing. On a personal level, Dale, the historian, what's it mean for you to see all this come together and the results? You're overwhelmed walking in today.
It's emotional to see everybody here. I just want everybody to have a great time, and I want all the racers to have a great experience. When you race, you get narrow-minded and focused on the objective, and that's running well and winning. So I know that there'll be some guys at the end of this thing that'll be disappointed, either because of the way they ran or some contact on the track or whatever. But I just hope everybody when they leave, I hope everybody says, man, I'm glad I was there for that. That's all I hope that happens. And I want to run every lap. I don't care really how great we run or how bad we run. I'm going to try not to worry about being competitive and let that really drive my measure of enjoyment. I'm just going to hope to complete all the laps and then at the end of the day, want to do more, right? Want to go race more late model stock races somewhere.
Hey, Dale, when did you first experience or become aware of sun drop in your life, and what does it mean to you to have that on your car today?
I think the first time I saw a sun drop was probably in the shop behind Memaw's house. Going over there as a kid when we started. Dad used to race his Xfinity or his Busch team out of the shop behind Memaw's, and there was sun drop in the fridge and sun drop everywhere. Memaw had it in the house, so it's, I guess, early '80s, and I drank a lot of sun drop as a kid. And, we had a great partnership with other beverages in my cup career, and we were loyal, and we did some great things together. But, obviously the Sun Drop Sun Drop's kind of our home team, right? It's North Carolina, and it's we want everybody to know about it, but it started here, and at least that's the way I kind of look at it. So there's a lot of pride behind those local brands, and obviously we had a little help from Sun Drop in my racing career. We ran out of money in the middle of '93. I was driving for Gary Hargett, and the well was dry. Gary told me that we weren't going to be able to go race anymore, and Sun Drop came in and sponsored us the final 10 weeks of the year and got us through the end of the season, and that's where this green car came out here and competed at North Wilkesboro. But so that's the connection that I have in motorsports with Sun Drop, and that's why we got that car out here today, is because of that old Sun Drop car we raced years ago. So it means a lot to me to be able to have that on the hood, and I hope that we hope that the regional brand and the regional partners with Sun Drop really are happy with the impact that we're going to hope to have for their brand. And I think we're doing a good job so far. Hopefully we'll go out there tomorrow, and hopefully they see a lot of green shirts in the grandstands too.
Hey, Dale. What do you want people to know between interviewing the Cars Tour drivers and being invested in this series the way that you guys have been? What do you want the audience to know about this series?
Well, the late model stocks are to the Mid-Atlantic region what the modifieds are to the Northeast. And I know we have some modified racing down south, but the late model stocks never were a national series or national car. And but they've enjoyed a very successful run over several decades in the state of Virginia, a little bit in Tennessee and North Carolina and South Carolina. And if that's all it ever is, that's good. But the style of car, the steering box, brakes, everything that makes the car work is a throwback in my mind, and it produces a certain type of racing that we don't really see with the pros or the supers. Every type of motorsports is to be celebrated, but I just think that we have a really unique race car, and we got some really, it's still relatively affordable for the blue collar racer. It's a little more difficult than it was when I was racing in the 90s, but it's still something that I feel like that people can connect to and be a part of on a grassroots level, on a blue collar level, and I just want this type of car to survive. I mean, not that it's in any kind of trouble, but I just want that's what we have always been sending to the racetracks, late model stock cars. And I want to continue to do that for as long as I can, and maybe drive them a few times here and there. And so, as the racetracks struggle to survive, where this car can race, it becomes harder and harder to find those places where this car can compete. And so, it's a lot of moving parts between the cars, the drivers, the owners, the racetracks, the promoters, to keep this type of car in this series surviving. And everybody's doing everything they can. But it's where I came from. It's what I hope survives for a long time, and we're going to try to do everything we can to raise awareness for the style of racing that people are going to see today or tomorrow night.
What do you need to experience tomorrow to want to come back and do some more?
Well, I just don't want. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. I just think I'm probably going to get out and go, why did I do this sooner? What have I been waiting for? That's probably what's going to happen. And I think even if we have bad luck, that might make me even want to come back more, right? Go to some of these racetracks and try to compete. But it's something I'd definitely be interested in first half of next year before I go to work in the booth, is to show up at a couple racetracks on a weekly show and just that whole experience, rolling down the road into Dooley with the guys and rolling into the track and practicing and racing and going to the Waffle House afterwards or whatever it is, right? You just want to relive those experiences. I don't know if they'll ever be as great as they were in the 90s, but you can sure try to bring it back.
My question sorry about that, folks. My question kind of follows up on that. Obviously, we don't know what the schedule here next year will be yet. You've not even ran your first race here yet. But how important is it to you to be able to come back here and race regular, not only next year, but in the years to come?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens at the racetrack. You can't really put your mind in gear to do anything like that until the track's future is determined. I think everybody's going to come here and support the dirt track racing here in October. I'm going to try to be here. I got a couple of dates marked on my calendar to try to get over here and see some of that. And if that's real successful, hell, it could stay a dirt track for a year or two. You don't know. They don't have to repave it right away. If it has successful dirt races, why not keep doing that a little bit? You kind of got an open book here to just a blank slate to do kind of whatever you want. And there's certainly a lot of interest around this race. And I think there could be some interest around having one of the 3 series come here someday, but that won't be next year. This place needs a lot of work to be able to house, have the truck or Xfinity come here and compete. And that's going to take a little time. It's going to take several months to rebuild this place to where it needs to be for that type of an event.
Michael Master, front stretch. Dale, when Elliott Sadler retired, you and him joked about, going on the road together, doing late model races. What's it going to take to get him out here with you, doing these races with you?
If I told him there was a car ready to go, he would be here right now, without question. I know Elliott would love to do it. But he's a family man, busy with his kids. He's got a lot going on, coaching ball and doing all that, and he's living the life he wants to live. But I'm sure if he had a car sitting here ready to go, he would not hesitate to be here.
Dale, wanted to talk a little bit about Bristol, if we could. Coming up here in a couple of weeks, it's going to be the playoff cutoff race. What are you kind of expecting, just as someone who's been on that track before, just how much that's going to add to the experience of Bristol here coming up?
Yeah, the Bristol night race is always pretty intense, and it just kind of has that short track, Saturday night, Friday night feel. And then the drivers tend to drive like old short track racers, and that means some bumping and banging, and we love to see it. So I'm hoping that's what we get. I hope we get pretty action-packed race and some guys muscling each other around. And being that it's a cutoff race, it could get pretty physical at the end of that race, depending on who's racing who.
Do you expect as far?
Hey, what's up, Ron? Here I am.
What do you expect as far as the next gen cars running on that pavement at Bristol? It's a quick track. The next gen cars just running on that track.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know what to expect every time they go to these tracks for the first time. But it's probably going to look a lot like the same Bristol we've always known. It's a good short track, and hopefully they put on a great show.
Hey, Dale, typically these series, are drivers on the way up. Now to reach the Cup Series, now we're seeing you, Bobby Labonte, Ryan Newman, guys, dabbling in this. I mean, is it an opportunity to give back to the sport? Why are we seeing so many successful Cup Series drivers do this type of racing?
Well, I think Bobby and Ryan have a little bit left, and they're very competitive, and they just want to go compete, and they just have fun. They have a fun time in this environment. It's a great, comfortable environment. Some guys move on into the Cup Series, and they just can't ever see themselves going back. And they obviously all they create businesses and family environments that aren't conducive to racing a local track. But they get things that they are interested in that takes them elsewhere. And that's kind of been my deal. I've been so busy with everything else, I really hadn't had a chance to sit down and seriously focus on running a late model car somewhere for fun. But when this combination comes up, you can't not do it, right? There won't be another chance to do this. Can't wait till tomorrow or next year. It has to, if you're going to be a part of this, it has to happen now. You have to be here today. And so I think sometimes it's a little bit of that. It's all the right things coming together for Ryan or me or Bobby. And hopefully more guys are doing it, in the future. I think it can only, we got Larson going and running all these dirt tracks. It's a big deal for the dirt track scene. Raises the profile for those guys and those tracks. I'm hearing about these tracks for the first time in my life, and I would never hear about them if Larson wasn't running there. And so it opens up a lot of eyeballs to some of the local level racetracks and the drivers that compete at it. And so if we could get some of those, the Xfinity and Cup guys come and running some of these late model shows when they could, it'd be great. It'd only help all the local tracks that they compete at. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.